This program was pre-recorded.
You've entered the Fletch Nation with Roy Fletcher, political analyst and socio-political prophet, and Kevin Gallagher, TV and podcast host and opinionated jackhole. So settle in, grab a beverage. It's time to talk some politics. It's Fletch Nation. Now here are the boys.
Hello once again, and welcome to another Fletch Nation. This is a pre-recorded program, and it is November the 2nd, Wednesday, coming at you from the Old School Barbecue Smokehouse in Baton Rouge at 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Come on by and enjoy some delicious old school barbecue. As you can see, it's not just me and Roy today. We have somebody a whole lot easier on the eyes, but I don't want to get off in a bad territory. Please meet our guest is Sarah Harbison. She is General Counsel for the Pelican Institute for Public Policy. Did I get the title correct?
You did.
Good. Glad to do that. What is going on right now is the Pelican Institute. Thank you. The Pelican Institute has decided to file suit against the Biden administration for the student loan forgiveness program. Now, I think a lot of people on the surface of that, they might think, what's the matter with writing off $10,000 to a couple of million college students? But there are some legal concerns that you all have. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. This lawsuit is really not about whether or not this is a good idea or a bad idea, although we have an opinion on that. This is about following the law and holding the Biden administration accountable. They failed to follow the Administrative Procedure Act, and they're attempting to shoehorn student loan forgiveness, $500 billion of student loan forgiveness, through an act that doesn't have anything to do. It was not passed in contemplation of forgiving $500 billion of student loans.
So you talk about the act that has nothing to do with it. You're talking about the HEROES Act.
That's right, the HEROES Act.
Which was passed when?
That was passed in 2003 in the aftermath of 9/11.
Oh, I see. 19 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So exactly what does the HEROES Act say about college loan forgiveness?
The HEROES Act,
Nothing?
It's to make sure that the men and women who serve this country,
right,
who put themselves at risk and who actually swear an oath to uphold and defend the United States Constitution,
right,
are not placed in a bad situation as a result of an emergency.
Right.
And as we mentioned, this was passed after 9/11. So the type of an emergency that was contemplated is an incredible disaster, like a war or a hurricane.
Yes, something like that.
Absolutely.
So assuming then that COVID was the disaster that was used to shoehorn the college, exactly when did that end as a pandemic emergency?
I heard that COVID ended in September. Didn't you get the memo?
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Actually, it ended before they used it.
And I think it's ended a couple of times. I think
Yes,
that the first time it ended was right before the OSHA vaccine mandate
That's correct,
was implemented.
yeah, that's right.
So it was
I forgot
over
about
by
that.
then.
Yeah, I forgot
Right,
that.
and then it ended again.
Yeah. So this year they're telling us to get flu shots instead
Right.
of vaccine. I don't know. I don't keep up with it all. It's too complicated for
Sure.
me. I'm not the right person. But the point of it is that there's a whole lot of manipulation of what an emergency is.
Absolutely.
Or whatever the case may be. So on the Administrative Procedures Act, which is a requirement under the law generally, I'll describe it as an act that requires the publication of an action before it's taken.
Right.
So that you have public comment and
Right.
public input into it. That did not happen in this case.
That didn't happen. The HEROES Act, which we maintain doesn't apply here,
Yes.
has an exception to the APA, says you don't need to follow it. But
Okay.
in order for student loan forgiveness to pass, this is something that would need to ordinarily go through Congress, and there's not the political will to do that. But you have incredible pressure from the left wing of the party. This was a campaign promise
Right.
that candidate Biden and now President Biden is attempting to fulfill.
Let me ask you a question about
Yes.
that. The HEROES Act obviously was contemplated for emergency
Right.
of some sort. What does it say about the expenditure of funds without congressional approval, or the release of funds, a release of obligations without congressional approval? Does it say anything about that?
The HEROES Act anticipates that we would forgive the loans of service members, perhaps, who might be put into a worse situation. Now, if we had followed the Administrative Procedure Act, maybe we wouldn't be using a sledgehammer like we are here. We could use a scalpel, and we would hear from people who are affected by student loan forgiveness or who will not be able to participate and benefit from student loan forgiveness, like Tommy Batto, who's our plaintiff, and how it might affect his family.
Oh, okay. So the actual plaintiff. That's interesting. What happened to the plaintiff in this situation?
He doesn't qualify for student loan forgiveness, but he does have student loans. And
what is his lack of qualification?
He earns too much money.
Too much money. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So the means test and the actual forgiveness has caused that an equal protection problem too. Right?
Sure, certainly.
Yeah, okay.
So what we're talking about is
without congressional approval.
Without congressional approval. That's right.
Yeah. So
that's
they abrogated equal protection and means tested a program without even a due process thing.
Certainly.
Yes, okay.
Certainly.
Right.
And Congress, the Supreme Court likes to say, we don't hide elephants in mouse holes, right?
Yeah, I like
we are
that.
very, very, very particular about what an agency can and cannot do.
Yes.
It's great for OSHA to be able to make rules like the forklift has to beep when it backs up.
Right.
But for a program that involves $500 billion of taxpayer money, that should be debated in Congress.
Remind me the OSHA situation. Where did the court fall out on that today? Where did they end up on that? Have they ended up on?
They did. That was a 6-3 decision. NFIB versus OSHA was the case.
Yeah.
And actually, the Pelican Institute was the first to file a lawsuit in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which got the injunction, which started this whole chain of events leading to the Supreme Court.
And in that ruling, they said, "Hey, OSHA, you don't have
the authority to act here."
Yeah, right. If you want that authority, go to Congress and get it.
Go to Congress or ask Congress to pass a law.
Which is precisely your point.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
So am I correct to assume that basically because it's means tested, that the White House or the whoever's running the program is picking winners and losers in this thing?
They're picking winners and losers. I'm not sure where they came up with these two numbers, 250 and 125 for a married couple filing jointly and 125 for a single person. But if you've got student loans, you can be in an incredibly different situation. I mean, if you could be a couple who's living a very comfortable life, maybe you still have student loans, you chose not to pay them off because you get a tax write-off. Or you might be somebody who just took out loans, didn't finish their degree, and you've got a family to support on $40,000. It's completely different.
It just sounds to me like if you incurred a great deal of debt getting your degree, and then you've been a success with your degree, you're being penalized for that. But if you've been a failure with your degree, we'll give you a little help.
Certainly.
The means testing thing too is it's very odd to see a means test implicated in something that was not approved by Congress, or at least there was some sort of enacting legislation. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a very odd situation.
Absolutely.
But I think it's a fascinating case, and particularly as it relates to this whole question of congressional involvement in it, where there was none for a reason, because they couldn't get what they wanted through Congress.
Certainly.
Sarah Harbison is General Counsel with the Pelican Institute for Public Policy.
Thank you.
And we would love to have you back when this thing starts to move forward, get into some actual litigation, et cetera, et cetera.
I'd love to be here. Thank you.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to be back with more. We're going to talk about, we're going to make some predictions on the elections, make some wagers on the elections, and basically be talking about it next on Fletch Nation.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Your favorite season is back, and now's the time you can score savings at the Team Automotive Group. You can sell your vehicle to us, and we'll pay you top value. Or buy here and get a 90-day warranty on the purchase of a pre-owned vehicle. Score VIP service and save at every location of the Team Automotive Group.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Caught spiders.
Premier Pest Services.
Back with Fletch Nation once again. We appreciate Sarah Harbus of Pelican Institute for Public Policy. Just search them on Google. Go to their website. All kinds of great information.
They do good work.
So, Roy, 1 week from today, as we record next week's program, we will be talking about election results.
Yeah, we
November
will.
8th midterms.
And this is unfair because I'm a week ahead of time. So I got to predict even when things are happening, you know? Mm-hmm. And Paul Pelosi's having problems, and it's obviously MAGA doing it.
Oh yeah, it's obviously it's QAnon set the whole thing up.
QAnon set it all up, and we can't get any video of it. And the Capitol Police have video of it. Nobody can get any video.
Yeah, wouldn't it be grand if we found out that guy, Mr. Naked hippie hammer guy, was the same unidentified passenger in Paul Pelosi's vehicle when he got stopped?
Well, because
he had a passenger in his vehicle. We don't know who that was.
Yeah, but at first they didn't have another there was nobody hurt or anything in that wreck, remember? Mm-hmm. And suddenly somebody got hurt. There was another car, that third party, and another party in his car. It became very confusing at that. But don't worry about it. They're handling it.
It's all Trump's fault.
They're handling it. It's just don't y'all worry. Now, let's turn to midterm elections. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I just feel like an obligation to try to predict this stuff just for the hell of it and give people so I'm going to do that. And I've been saying the whole time, Kevin, I think you know, pretty obvious, is that I've been at about 18 to 25 seats in the House.
Yeah.
That the Republicans will pick up. There is discussion today that the Republicans are extending their field, their range. They're going into Democratic districts, that Democratic incumbents are in trouble, et cetera, which suggests that there's a serious wave out there. Yeah, I tell people this all the time. Look, don't get too excited when you hear that, because that's the talk that's manufactured that's propaganda. Okay? That's your spin.
Well, I tend to think that you throw that out there a lot, and a lot of Republican voters go, oh, it's going to be a wave, man. I don't need to bother to vote.
Well, maybe you throw it out there a lot, and they do vote, and they think they're going to beat a Democratic incumbent.
Everybody's going to vote. They don't need me.
Well, I don't think they're trying to suppress vote with that. I think what the Republicans are trying to suggest that to Democrats that they have to protect safe seats or relatively safe seats or leaning incumbents because it makes them spend money in places where they wouldn't ordinarily be spending money. It's a game going on here, folks. I mean, it's all kind of little games going on. But never take the jingle, that little bright and shiny thing, and look at it and say, well, oh my goodness, the cap. I think still that we're about 25 seats into it. I think that's where we'll end up. And the Republicans will have control of the House of Representatives. That's not news. That's pretty well, everybody agrees. The real issue has been the Senate. And that's where the close races are. So let's go through the Senate, and I'm going to try to go through them from memory as quickly as I can. New Hampshire has a general up there running against Hassan, the Democratic incumbent for the United States Senate. Before, the Democrats spent a lot of money to make sure this general got into the general election. Remember we were talking about Democrats spending money on Republicans? Well, they did, because this guy's a big Trump guy. And he was all of this stuff. Well, he got into the general election. They said, well, see, we won. No.
Easily defeatable, they're thinking, right?
Mitch McConnell said, weak candidate. And guess what? Today, it's a dead heat race, if not the general leading. The first indicator of a wave that you will see on TV if you're watching election results on election night, watch the New Hampshire United States Senate race. If the Republican wins that race, folks, Democrats are in for a very long night. A very long night. I think that the general just might win that race. So I'm going to go on the record and say the general in New Hampshire wins that race.
Okay.
We go down the eastern seaboard. Pennsylvania, Mehmet Oz and John Fetterman. The New York Times this last week, or last few days, over the weekend, put out a Siena poll that was completely different than any polling that was going on at the time. And they said, oh, Fetterman's got a 5-point lead. Oh yeah, sure. Everybody else is calling it dead heat. I think Mehmet Oz is going to win that race. And I've been pretty consistent about saying that he had a chance in that race the whole way through this time.
I had read that since the debate, Fetterman's polling among especially Democrat women was failing.
I think there's probably some truth to that. I think what he said in the debate, it mattered as much as that he couldn't say anything, okay? I mean, he did get some stuff out, and it was kind of goofy. So then we moved to Georgia Senate race. The good thing in a Georgia Senate race for the Republicans is that Brian Kemp, who's running for governor, as the governor running for re-election against Stacey Abrams, is kicking her rear. Okay? That means that Herschel Walker versus Raphael Warnock.
Yep.
It's been considered to be close. ABC last night even had to run a big story on their newscast about all of Herschel Walker's rotten stuff with women. I got to tell you, Georgia has...
But probably nothing about Raphael Warnock's rotten stuff with women.
No, not one thing, huh? No, he's a fine Christian man.
He's got some history.
Yeah, so both of them do. The point of it is that there's been a very heavy turnout in Georgia in early voting. I think that the argument has been, well, somebody will lead, but there'll be a runoff. I don't think there'll be a runoff in Georgia. I think that Herschel Walker's going to win that race in this election. There won't be a runoff. He'll get over 50%. That's my gut. That's what I'm going to tell you. And that's what I've done my research on it, and that's what I think will happen. Now, then we go to Ohio, where J.D. Vance continues to lead Tim Ryan, and that's not a pickup. That's just the Republicans maintaining the seat. Oz is not a pickup, but the New Hampshire one and the Georgia one are pickups. That's two. That leaves it at 50-50. Okay? That's where we are. I think then when we come back, I want to go to Arizona, Nevada, and probably a couple of other states, including the state of Washington, which lingers in the background.
I like that word, lingers in the background. All right, we'll take a quick break, 3 minutes, and Fletch Nation returns.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
The 2022 Mazda CX-5 with iActive all-wheel drive and available turbo engine. It truly ignites the senses.
Save on your new CX-5 right now during the season of discovery at Team Mazda.
Hi gang, Clarence Buggs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Buggs Show.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Back with Fletch Nation, Roy is looking at the Senate races, some of the key Senate races, which, it's kind of a foregone thing that probably the House will go back under Republican control, but the Senate,
it's all of these races are very close. I don't mean to, I think the one that would probably break that mold a little bit would be Walker in Georgia. I fully expect him to break 50, but be that as it might. Arizona, a big event occurred. Arizona is the place where Senator Mark Kelly, who's a Democrat, is being challenged by Blake Masters. And Masters has closed the gap to a dead heat race over the last few days. And yesterday, something big happened in Arizona. The Libertarian candidate who was on the ballot, and out west, Libertarians can get 2 or 3, 4% of the vote, which would normally vote for Republican. The Libertarian got out of the race and endorsed Blake Masters. In a very close race, that really matters. I think that gives Blake Masters the edge.
It's a race where 3% can make a hell of a difference.
A big difference. Now, they're Libertarian, so you don't know where they're going to go because they're kind of odd, but the point of it is, I don't mean that ugly. The point of it is that they're independent. That's a better way to say it. the point of it is they probably do lean to Blake Masters because he is sort of a more libertarian Republican. He's one of those that Mitch McConnell said was not a good candidate. He's about to win the Senate race in Arizona. You go just up there, just north, and in Nevada, and it looks like Adam Laxalt in a very close race has a real shot, and I think he will. And I think Masters, I don't know about the Masters race. I think he's going to win, though. I'm going to just go ahead and predict it. That way you can say, yeah, Fletcher was wrong. But in the Nevada race, I think Laxalt will win that race. Okay, so there's two seats. There's Senator Matea, can't remember how you say her full name, but she is in Nevada. She's the Democrat. So there's two more Senate races that will fall, if I'm right, to Republicans. That means it goes to 52. So now, Roy, what other races out there that may fall, that are longer shots, but that may fall to Republicans? One of them that I have talked about consistently for a month now is Tiffany Smiley in the state of Washington against Patty Murray. That race now has closed very, very quickly, and the Republicans sense they have a chance to win that, and they're putting a lot of money into that race. So the race in O'Shea, I think is his name, in Colorado, I don't think that nearly as possible as the Washington state race. So that means 52. It could, well, no, that means 53.
Yep.
That means 53, because if we knock off one in New Hampshire, you knock off one in Georgia, you knock off one in Arizona, you knock off one in Nevada, and they'll all go to Republican. That's 52, I think, or 53. I think 53 is the number, though. I think 53 is where it'll fall at. I've seen some predictions that it could go as high as 54. Well, if they say 54, that means that Tiffany Smiley is the one they're saying would flip. And there's a possibility of that happening. I don't foresee it, but I sure do think it's going to be close. So that's sort of the Senate stuff. And that leads with two. Now understand what this is, and I want to make this point clear about the House and the Senate. Mitch McConnell said in the summer, these are bad candidates we have. We're probably not going to win the Senate. He was talking about the Trump candidates that were elected by the Republicans in the primary to be in the general. He was talking specifically about the general in New Hampshire. He was talking specifically about Mehmet Oz. He was talking
Herschel Walker.
Blake Masters, because he fought Peter Thiel in Arizona over there. J.D. Vance in Ohio. All of those people. So the big winner of this thing is Donald Trump. If those people sweep those races, Trump is in a very, very powerful position. I talked about it last week within the Republican Party. And he's done so, and this is interesting, he's done so because he let his own candidates emerge, and he stayed out of their way and stayed submerged. They merged, he submerged, okay? And he stayed out of the news for a while. And he's going to continue to do that this week. He will not, he's not going to engage. He's going to let this happen the way it's supposed to happen. And it's going to be probably a big victory.
Well, he's got a specter over him right now, the FBI thing and Mar-a-Lago and all that stuff, and it's kind of best not to bring that shade onto somebody you'd like to see win.
That's right. It's best to leave it alone. But these are his people. These are his candidates. Okay. Now, there's some fascinating races for governor around the country, and I think that these governor's races are so important for a couple of reasons, but one is primarily the following. I can see now a roadmap, a possibility, a governor with executive experience going to be the president of the United States in the future, like Ron DeSantis is trying to do in Florida. The gal in Arizona, The name just went right by me. I can't even think of her name right now. You know, the Republican.
I want to say Kari Lake, is that right?
That's right. She had say that louder.
Kari Lake.
Yes. She is going to win that governor's race, apparently. She is the female Donald Trump, is what they call her. She's tough.
She's outspoken,
that's for sure. No crap from the media. None whatsoever. She dishes far more than she receives.
If she's not a female Trump, she's at least a female Ron DeSantis. That's for sure.
That's true. She's one. That's a straight line to the presidency, and she has executive experience when she's governor. The other one is Tudor in Michigan.
Tudor Dixon, Michigan. She's running
Tudor
against
Dixon
incumbent Gretchen Whitmer and doing really, really well in the polls.
I don't think that Tudor Dixon wins that race. I think Lake will. I don't think Tudor Dixon wins that race, but she may. There's a real possibility there. Another governor's race that's drawn a lot of attention, and I hate doing this quickly, but is Mastriano in Pennsylvania. It's a fair close race. He's trying to close the gap against Shapiro. He might. We're going to be right back, and we talk about some other elections.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I'm Katie, Operation Manager here at Old School Barbecue. We're excited about all of the changes here at Old School, and we'd like to invite everyone to come out and enjoy some delicious barbecue at Old School prices. We feature brisket, chicken, ribs, sausage, and the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich voted best deal in town. We also have live music Friday and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We can't wait to see you.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin Gallagher. This is Roy Fletcher. We hope you'll join us for Fletch Nation, especially if you like talking politics.
Hey, come and join us. We'll give you the information, and then we'll give you the context. And by the way, we'll give you fun too.
Lots of fun. We hit the local races, the state. We even look at what's going on all across America. And by the way, this space is available. If you'd like to talk about advertising, send your emails to Roy Fletcher at royfletcher.com and join us every week here on the Pelican for Fletch Nation.
Your favorite season is back, and now's the time you can score savings at the Team Automotive Group. You can sell your vehicle to us, and we'll pay you top value. Or buy here and get a 90-day warranty on the purchase of a pre-owned vehicle. Score VIP service and save at every location of the Team Automotive Group.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
So if you're just joining us in Fletch Nation, we've been talking a little bit about some of the latest polling, what's going on in some of the Senate races. It looks like the House is going to go GOP.
Yeah.
But the Senate is a little more questionable. But Roy
It's iffy.
just finished laying out a case for perhaps coming out with 52, maybe 53 seats.
Yeah, the places where you might lose a seat, there are a couple of races that are real close that of Republican incumbents is Ron Johnson in Wisconsin, and the seat in North Carolina is a Republican seat, but Bud and the Supreme Court justice there are fighting it out, and that's a close race too in North Carolina. So there may be a couple of places where Republicans lose, and you go back down to 51 or 50 even, where Kamala Harris decides what is going to happen.
God help us.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So now let's turn to Louisiana a minute. And so Kevin, I want you to wager a little money with me, so we could pick the percentage that Kennedy gets.
So not only will he win, but by what percentage?
What percentage will he
Okay, I've been thinking about this since you telegraphed this punch on email.
Yes, I did.
I think that John Kennedy on election night comes out with 62%.
62?
62% of the vote.
I got him at 57.
57.
I like. So we won't do if you're over. It's whoever's closest for $20.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, for $20.
I'm in.
That's cool. That works well.
But I think that
you gave me that whole all that below you, so that's okay. I can do that.
I just a couple of weeks ago, I worked for the Louisiana Radio Network, and I was asked to write up a story about there was an event held in Baton Rouge. The Baton Rouge Press Club invited Senate candidates to come and meet the candidates, and there are actually about 9 candidates in the Senate race. But I mean, there's only a couple, 2 or 3 that have any chance.
There may be only one, really. I don't know.
Of course, John Kennedy, his schedule is completely locked, and as you know, if I'm ahead of my nearest opponent by 32 points, I don't know that I'd bother with any kind of debate or meet the candidates for him.
But he showed up?
So two of them did. Gary Chambers, strangely enough, showed up, and Sarita Steeb from New Orleans, she showed up. But Luke Mixon, who seems to be the Louisiana Democratic Party's darling in this race, was not there. It did not surprise me that Mr. Kennedy did not show up.
No, that's not surprising at all.
He has absolutely nothing to gain.
So Kevin's got 62, I got 57. I like that.
62, 57. We'll see who wins.
Okay. So
how about Garrett?
Let me say this. I'm gonna put it in perspective for you too. If he gets over 53, if he gets up to 62 or 57 or 55, that's massive.
Oh yeah.
That's massive for him, and it's a great story about him as a candidate and as a longtime politician in Louisiana. Well, it really is.
I think that not only Mr. Kennedy himself, but also whoever's handling his campaign, and you probably know who that is, but I think that they have done a wonderful job with messaging, with putting their finger on the hot button of what voters in Louisiana care about most. That line in one of his commercials where Louisianans are getting really good at barely getting by.
That's a great line. Mm-hmm. That's a great line. I agree with you. And I like the last commercials that he's done on drugs, prescription drugs. Mm-hmm. I think they're very effective ads. Now, and that's really all there is to talk about here. But we got some elections that we can talk about other places. Mm-hmm. For example, in Brazil.
Brazil?
It's
a state of mind.
The socialist commie, Lulu. That's not his full name, but Lulu. Apparently won. We don't know for sure. He'd been under indictment and convicted, and then they overruled the convictions, and there's all kind of machinations in Brazilian politics. It reminds me a little bit of Louisiana. This guy Lulu won the election against, how would I call him, Balaneros, I believe or Balaneros, or something to that effect. he was the incumbent president of Brazil, and he was sort of the Donald Trump candidate of Brazil. And Trump is extended worldwide, and Lula beat him. So it's a big deal. They went wild and everything, and all the left up here went crazy over it, and they forgot that in Italy, Mussolini's granddaughter won there, and so, or whatever she was. I mean, it's just, everybody goes crazy. And yes, today we learned apparently that he's back. Bibi Netanyahu.
Really?
He's won, that his party that he's leading, the Likud, has won enough votes in the Knesset to form a government as the majority. And this is the 5th election they've had in like 3 or 4 years in order to get to this point. But it looks like Bibi is back. And I mean, we got a leader in the world, folks.
He's always impressed me, but he's getting up there. At what point does he say, I've done my time, I paid my debt, it's time to stand down?
Well, I think that in Israel you don't pay your debt. I think you protect your country. And I think that's the way he sees his public service.
So once again, we could see Benjamin Netanyahu as Prime Minister of Israel.
Apparently that's what's going to happen is that.
I wanted to ask you, while we're talking about international elections, England. Once again, England, it seems like they elect a new Prime Minister every time the wind changes.
Well, this is the party. That was within the party.
Yeah.
The Tories have the party.
And they didn't want Boris Johnson in anymore.
And they didn't want Boris, and then Tusk, or whatever her name is, came in and royally screwed up, and so they kicked her out, and now they got this I think he's an Indian, East Indian, who is now the Prime Minister and the leader of the Tories.
Yeah, by blood. I actually think he's English.
Yeah,
Born in England,
he is English, but I think his parents were.
Yeah, sure.
Indian.
There's a lot of Indians and people from Pakistan that have lived for generations in England.
Remember, colonial days, India was England.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
as much as
I mean, and the government that they have and the system they have in India is very much a result of the English colonial.
What if we had a system like that here in America, where like the Democrats just said, Joe, we don't have any faith in you anymore, man. We're going to toss you out and pick a new president.
It's not a bad system. I like the parliamentary system. It's really a pretty good system.
Instead, what we do is we all rally around that guy, no matter how bad he might be.
And what that does is it creates 4 parties. You have the congressional Republicans, the congressional Democrats, and the president Democrats, president Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't ever come to a full conclusion as to who's representing who. Okay, so but over there, you're a Tory, you vote for Tory. And you kick out who you want to kick out when you want to kick them out.
One thing is for certain: when we meet again next Wednesday, we'll be talking about who won and
how
who
bad
didn't.
it was at my predictions.
Yep. And was it a red ripple, a red tide coming in, or was it a tsunami?
Tsunami.
We're going to find out.
Far away.
Meanwhile, take a break. We'll be right back with more Fletch Nation.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
Welcome back to Fletch Nation. It is a time for our program where we always set aside a little time every week for one of Roy's conversations with coastal lawyer John Carmouche. And let's go to that right now. Without further ado, John Carmouche and Roy.
Well, welcome back. We're with John Carmouche, a well-known coastal and environmental lawyer in Louisiana, a land lawyer. And we've been talking about sort of your past and your education and what sort of brought you to the fight for the coast of Louisiana. There's bigger issues, though, it seems, John. There's a new poll out by the New York Times over the weekend, the Siena poll, Siena College poll, that had 13% of the country in a good mood about the direction of the United States. What do you think about the direction of our country?
I think it's going in the wrong way. I mean, it's too divided, Roy. Too much politics. I grew up in a political family, but also grew up believing in the real world. And I think we've lost the touch of actually working together and putting politics aside. You can have your views, and I believe in strong conservative views myself as a Republican, but I also believe in a real world working together. I give the example that, we show up at work every day. There's so many businesses in Louisiana that are huge and making a large difference in Louisiana. They show up to work every day to work together as a business. They don't show up every day to say, are you a Republican, Democrat, Independent? They show up every day, they work together, and they accomplish huge things in Louisiana. But it just seems like as soon as you turn on the political TV,
when you walk in the state
capitol, it's politics. And everybody forgets that Louisiana needs to be run like a business. And to do that, you have to work together. And I think we've lost that in this state.
I can't think of a way to get it back either, but the fact is that the point that you're making is that it's a necessity.
It's an absolute necessity. This state needs to turn in the direction of working together as a business to bring businesses here and to grow the economy and bring our kids back.
Well, you bring up the economy. I mean, what do you think of the general direction of Louisiana and our economy in Louisiana is right now?
It's terrible. I mean, we're in the 21st century and we're running this state like it's 1950. It's time to change. It's time to be pro-business. It's time to bring our kids back and make them want to come back. And right now, we need dramatic change on education. We need a dramatic change on how we deal with businesses. We need to bring the oil industry back. I mean, everybody says I'm against the oil industry. I'm not against the oil industry.
We talked about that last week. I mean, you're quite the opposite, correct?
I am the opposite, because I believe in, if we zero out the liability, we can bring back.
You mean the sort of the coastal liability?
Clear the coastal liability, clean up this state, and make them want to come back. And we can bring the oil industry back. We have to make the dramatic change in the state that we've needed for a long, long time, and not just because of the oil industry.
That's one of the things that you have talked about that's so different, and that is, for right now, for the Biden administration had taken the position that the 5-year plan on offshore drilling, they're just not even going to bring it up anymore. They're not going to discuss it. On the other hand, you've taken the position, if you clean up the coast and the liability gets cleaned up, then what you want is an industry that can drill and manufacture and produce, and the liability be gone.
Not only the liability be gone, but there are great operators in the state of Louisiana today, and there are great operators that want to come here in Louisiana.
In the oil and gas industry.
In the oil and gas industry,
Yeah.
and get our industry and our people back to work and do it the right way.
Yeah.
And that's the key, is do it the right way, bring them back, grow the economy with zero liability, and let's move on.
One of the things that has been discussed in the last couple of weeks, Governor Ducey of Arizona has passed what they call the most Education Freedom Choice Act in the country, where basically the money follows the student rather than going to the county or the school board or what. It follows the student. Wherever the student goes, whatever school the student decides to go to, the money follows. When you say dramatic change from Louisiana in education, that would be something that you'd want to look at, I would assume, huh?
Definitely. I mean, I have to study it, but my position on education is we have to get our kids to want to stay here. And our education, it needs a dramatic change in how we educate our kids, because our kids have to want to be educated. You can't make and force these kids to do something they don't want to do. So there's a lot of things that look at trade schools and getting these kids to be educated on the jobs we have for them in Louisiana. And
market sensitive.
Yeah. And make this a state where we promote working here, not promoting outside of the state.
Right.
So I think all of those programs are great programs to look at, and definitely the state of Louisiana needs a change in education.
But you would say that if you're not teaching the basics and doing the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic, you're not really accomplishing much, are you?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
That's the kind of dramatic change Louisiana needs. We have a couple of things that I kind of call it the quick round, and we'll go ahead and get into a little bit of that. You give me quick answers to questions that people ask. One is like, you say you're a Republican. What's your position like on the Second Amendment?
I'm for it, Roy.
I mean, that's pretty much says it all right there. You're for it, you know. What about immigration, illegal immigration, and that sort of thing?
I'm for building the wall. I'm for keeping them out. This is the United States of America, and as long as you legally come here, then I think you should go through the process.
I got you. So now, John, if I've taken my cue properly, we can now go to a break, and we'll be back in a moment. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Once again, John Carmouche, we thank him for the access, and we hope to have some new segments with John for you in the weeks ahead here on Fletch Nation.
Well,
pardon me.
You're more than welcome.
The one we didn't really get to talk much during our discussion of elections of some of these governor's races. We did a little bit.
Yeah, we did a few. There's one in particular in the state of New York. Kathleen Hochul, the incumbent, the Democrat versus Lee Zeldin. Lee Zeldin's putting on a hell of a race up there.
And she is not.
Yeah, and she is not. I don't think that Lee Zeldin can win, but I wouldn't be surprised. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say Lee Zeldin's going to win. Now, okay?
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think it's got the momentum coming into the street.
I grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania Park, right next door to New York State, and that is a state chock full of liberal Democrats. So I don't know. Maybe they just had enough.
Scared
poor.
Scared liberal Democrats and poor. And there's nothing worse than fear of going bankrupt. That won't get you conservative real quick. Now, the other one is in the state of Oregon. We had the deal playing out there where there's a third party who's doing very well. Well, the third party's starting to fall off some. The Democrats picking up. I don't think that the Republicans are going to win that race, but just maybe. I won't pick the Republican to win that race, but it might happen, even though I don't think it will. It might happen.
But the interesting thing about these races where probably the Republican won't win is, as you said last week and earlier this hour, it's forcing the Democrat National Committee to spend money in these states that they might have spent more of elsewhere where they were more assured of victory.
Or where it would be more effective expenditures. They have to spread their money. And they're spreading their money to defend, not to offend, okay? They're on the defensive, not the offensive. The whole nature of the election about 10 days ago started to change. It had changed once. With independent white women in the suburbs starting to come to Republicans. But the thing that really started to move this race was the crime issue as it related to them. And the Latino vote is quickly moving toward Republicans. Republicans may get half of the Latino vote in this election.
Really?
Yes, they may get half.
And see, I think
they may even do a little better than half.
I think the Democrats think it's a foregone conclusion that because they are a minority that they're going to vote Democrat because we're the party of minorities. But they're also largely Catholics and they have lots of family values.
Well, there's another thing that they have, and that is they came to America because of America's exceptionalism. They don't want to see America's exceptionalism destroyed because that's the way they feed their families in Tijuana. Okay, or wherever the hell they're from. That is something that Democrats did not anticipate. There was a book written 15 years ago by James Carville, and I'd heard him say it before. He says as the nation gets darker, the Democrats will become a permanent majority. Well, the nation is getting darker, but James, it's a real race now as to who the majority is in this country.
I think when it comes to crime and inflation and immigration, I think it doesn't matter what a person's skin color is. They're more concerned about the quality of life.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. There's a lot of other stuff we could talk about, but we've talked about a bunch.
Yep.
And we've gone to Brazil, to Israel, to Washington State, and next week we'll just go wherever we find ourselves when we get the return.
Exactly. If you didn't do early voting, it's all over now. Please get out and vote next Tuesday. Make it count. God bless. We'll talk next week.
Listening to Fletch Nation with Roy Fletcher and Kevin Gallagher. Remember, if you heard something that ticked you off, upset your sensibilities, or threatened your precious safe space,
the opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are purely their own and do not reflect those of this radio station or its advertisers.
So if you're calling a lawyer, or planning a boycott, or a cancel campaign, forget about it and join us next week for more Fletch Nation.